Okay, this is the design, and as Brian was showing, there's a problem with this flower shape, and I suppose there are many different ways to fix this file. Either redraw it, that was my first thought, was just to redo it from scratch, but if I wanted to edit this to make it better here, I would probably need to make the flower smaller or make the openings around the flower larger, or both. So as I was playing with it, I was noticing that we have some basic components here. We have a cross here. If I get this shape here, you can see we have this, and if I duplicate it, I'll just hold Control Shift and click and then rotate it, then weld it together. You can see that that shape is part of this design. So in editing it, what I'm going to do is try to reconstruct the shapes. I'll send that up a little bit and build it so that I have a flower shape, a cross shape, and then the other shape I'm looking at is the white area in here also forms a cross. So I may want to make that a little larger just so that I have more space around the flower. Now to grab the flower, it's a little bit difficult to do, but I could grab this flower, maybe a little easier. To get the flower, what I do is select the frame. Let me zoom in here, and then I'll use break down at the bottom, Control plus B, to break everything apart. I'm choosing this flower rather than this one because this one was distorted, but this is a little more complete. So I'm going to hold the Shift key and select each one of these 4 parts of the flower. Then I'm going to do Control and Shift to duplicate them, send them to their own layer by clicking on the smaller of the 2 green plus icons, and then just move it over here. Now to get the actual flower, I'm going to delete some lines using the node editing tool, which is the second arrow from the top on the left toolbar. If you don't see the left toolbar, click on this figure 8 in the upper left corner and it shows the node editing toolbar, and I'm going to use the second tool and I'm going to click on the lines that are closest to my curve and select a line and hit the delete key. So I'm just going to do that on the straight line for each one of these. This one is missing a straight line, so I'm going to double click to try to add a node. I thought. Well, I have 3 that are going to work, and if I can't get the 4th, I can select the whole thing and break them. And what I'll do here is borrow just this line, which is like one that I want. Control, Shift, and click to duplicate it, and mirror it by clicking on the mirror icon second from the left, and then use my arrow key to move this piece over, right over the original. I'll send it to its own layer and hide it so that I can select the one I don't want and delete it. Now I'll show it. So these lines that I don't need, I'm just going to select and delete. And now I have the flower shape minus the straight sides. So I'll click on the fourth tool on the left toolbar to get the draw tool. Left click on the first dot, right click on the second. Left click and right click. Left click, right click, left click, and right click. So now I have a flower shape. And if you recall, I need to make it a little bit smaller. So maybe I will make this a 0.7. So it's a little bit smaller. This line here, I'll make a little bit larger than...
Julie?
Yes.
You didn't have the lock aspect ratio on when you did it smaller.
We'll try that again. When you select an item and you want to keep the aspect ratio the same, right now the width is not the same as the height, but I have the green lock showing, and if I change just one, then it loses its aspect ratio. If I lock it and change this to 0.7 and enter, then both sides change. I could change this so they're symmetrical. It would be my inclination to change them both to 0.7, but I'll leave it kind of the same because I don't want to destroy the integrity of the entire design. I just want to fix this portion of the design. So this little part of the shape, I'm making a little bit wider than the original, just so that I have more room. Now I made the flower a little smaller, and I'm going to select both it, and I also, you'll notice that I made this part longer than the original. That is on purpose. I'll show you why in a second, but now I'm going to select these and type S to stack them and then weld them. So now I have basically the flower shape just a little smaller, and then I'm going to make the cross shape. You can envision this. If I have this and Control Shift click, I have another and I'll rotate it, and now I have a cross shape, larger cross shape, and I'm going to stack those by typing S and weld them. So now I have two shapes, and now you can see that one shape is longer than the other. What I want to do is remove the flower shape and the bars from this other cross shape, the fatter one. And to make sure they're centered, I just select both and type S, so they're both centered, and you can see now that the corner lines do not touch just by making the flower a little smaller and making the cross shape a little larger. Now with both selected, I'll use Boolean join, which is about the center icon on the bottom toolbar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th icon. And I'm going to use the B to A difference, and it looks the way I want. So then I hit apply. So now I have a shape that I can use in place of these that were problematic. So to replace those, I'll send this to its own layer on top, And I'm going to leave this center circle there, but I'm going to delete each of these after I get this into position. So I'm going to center this right over that. There's a little plus sign in the middle of the shape, and there's a circle that I'm going to be keeping. So I'm going to hide my new shape, and I'm going to left click on the old shapes that I want to get rid of. And now I'll show the new shape. And now I can join it by just selecting the whole design and typing J or clicking on the join icon, ninth icon, and that'll bring us down to fixing that particular piece. You see, this piece now looks much better than it did before. If I want to fix the other parts of this has a repeated design, so I'm going to undo that join and just copy this segment that I fixed, Control Shift click, and now I have this piece here that I can use to I'll send it to its own layer, and again I'll join this. Looks like I have a little extra piece there. I'm going to join this, duplicate it so I can use it again, and lay it over the top where it belongs. Hide it, remove this, and show it. And I would continue around. Every other piece has the same little shape, so I can fix them in like manner. So again, I'll duplicate this and lay it over the original, hide it, delete the original, and now I have this. So I would go around and replace each one of them, and then when I'm done replacing them, zoom in, select all, and join so that I have a fixed design. I think I forgot to remove something here, but now you see that I can keep the integrity of the original design and just replace the segments that needed to be edited just by working with one little piece, and not very much editing really necessary.